What are you convinced people are pretending to enjoy? Reaction videos. Why would anyone care how a stranger reacts to something? Most of the time, the reaction isn't even real and just played up for the camera. If there's someone whose content I enjoy, and someone else's content I enjoy, I like to watch that person watch the other person. I'm not going to enjoy the reaction video if the person is reacting to content that I don't like. 3-hour-long church services. Jesus gave the Sermon on the Mount in like 5 minutes. Get over your ego, Pastor. When Rosa Parks died, her funeral service was supposed to be 3 hours long. That seemed needlessly long to me, but she's an American hero, so maybe a longer service made sense. Instead, it lasted over 7 hours. And you know that's because every preacher and every politician and every celebrity wanted to brag about speaking at Rosa Parks' funeral. It seemed horribly self-indulgent to me. It became less about her and more, did you see what I said about her? I grew up going to Catholic Mass. 30 to 45 minutes, then it's off to get donuts. The long masses are on holidays, and usually there's fire or baptisms involved, so we're filling that time with something. What do people even do at day-long services? Is the pastor really talking the whole time? One of my favorite details in the Bible is that at least one of Peter's sermons, Acts 10:44, was cut short by the Holy Spirit showing up while he was still talking, effectively ending the sermon. God apparently had decided that that was enough. Edit. Spelling. Having constant drama at work, in friend groups, and elsewhere really can't be all that exciting. Can it? If I have one friend causing me too much drama, I usually avoid it like it's the plague. Seems some people tend to create drama everywhere they go. I find a lot of these people telegraph their ability to create drama by, unprompted, declaring they hate drama. As my girls were heading into middle school, we sat down and discussed what it meant to be a drama monster. That term really worked well to help us communicate and begin labeling behavior that is toxic. Some people just act that way all the time, and with this definition the girls were able to make smart friend choices. And in the years since they've caught me a few times and cautioned me against being my own version of a drama monster smiley face. I wish I instilled that in my niece. She was a great kid, but now she's a drama monster and no family member can stand to be around her. Generally, the room goes silent when she's around because everyone is afraid she'll twist our words and jokes to become the victim. She's an adult, she's not obligated to attend any family function unless it takes place at the family's house where she lives. Yes, she bounces around family because she's too intolerable for one household and not independent enough to leave. We just sit here tortured hoping she'll get new meds, but meds don't fix character flaws. My brother is like this. I'm legit afraid to talk to him. My mom used to be like this, but we all sat her down and explained how her behavior affects us and why we don't come to visit. She's still a bit victim-like, but she's not the same selfish woman from the 90s. I think when you get older, family becomes important if they aren't horrible people. Drama is addictive. I used to need constant drama, and it was because my childhood was so chaotic that it literally rewired my brain to be uncomfortable without it. It's an actual illness. I needed years of therapy to become stable, and I'm still not done. Yup. This chaotic/unpredictable childhoods rewire us to be accustomed to so much adrenaline from uncertainty and dopamine rushes when things turn out okay. And stable, consistently supportive relationships can seem boring or not intensely connected enough. I had never thought of it this way, but that totally makes sense. I also had a chaotic childhood and used to be a drama queen. It's taken me a long time to get past that. I still feel like I don't have the emotional maturity that I should, but I'm in my 40s now and I'm too old and tired for that nonsense. Bars and restaurants with loud music and terrible acoustics. What's the point in being social in a place where they're trying to make it hard for you to socialize? Someone explained this once and it made a lot of sense, so I'm gonna try, but it'll most likely be shitty. Loud music fills in awkward silences and covers up social faux pas in an environment where mixing and mingling is encouraged. It helps facilitate you hooking up with Jenny because she doesn't realize you're a terrible conversationalist since the music covers it up. Loud music forces people to talk more loudly and about simpler subjects. So it has the effect of filtering out serious subjects and shifting focus to the more excitable language, flirtatious language, etc., basically like your example with Jenny. I personally enjoy it, if it's the right time and place. Not at a restaurant. But if there's a dance floor, sure. But I've got friends who hate it, because they always prefer calmer conversations, so loud places aren't for them. And people tend to purchase more drinks from the bar too, drink more when they aren't able to talk with each other or hear each other. LinkedIn. Accurate. It's like an office party you don't want to attend but need to so you can network. So many times I've been in my office since coming back from lockdown and I've wanted to say, look, can we cut the office chat, and if I ask you how your life is going, that you give me an honest answer? LinkedIn takes the vacuous nature of being in an office and multiplies it by 10. The virtue signaling people do on there just to feign the value they think they offer to the world is issue that people have allowed to go on way too long on social media. The mistake is thinking of it as a social network. This is a job hunting tool, so people project the image that recruiters want to see. I thought nobody really enjoyed it except HR people, but there's always that guy at the office, isn't it? I've landed a few job interviews from LinkedIn, and I've never ever posted anything. I just started following absolutely everyone. I use it as a place to keep my professional network intact and to post my resume so people can ping me. Twice now I've used offers I got through LinkedIn to get a match from my employer. The past 2 years in particular I've had dozens of people reach out to me about legit offers. Ignore all the bullshit and just focus on employment, and it's a good tool. Use it as a social network and, surprise, you get FB level drama. LinkedIn is a great tool if you use it for what it should be used for. I like that nobody has any objections on this. It is cringe how fake LinkedIn is. Especially when they share some wholesome story with a picture of them smiling. I prefer the opposite. The ones where they show the struggle of finding a job or working remotely and post a close-up of them crying alone. What a weird thing to share on the internet. Especially with potential employers and previous coworkers. LinkedIn is the biggest self-fart sniffing contest in existence. It's salespeople trying to sell shit to other salespeople. It's a good place to post your resume and that's it. I'd say it's an even better place to stalk someone else's resume. Look for people with the job I want, poach copy from their resumes, change it up a little and make it fit around jobs I've actually done. Et voila! The perfect candidate. It's fine as a job board. The social networking aspect is a joke. Your boss's jokes. Spot on, sir. Heard this in Crichton's voice from Red Dwarf. Nah. My boss once told me, hey, for a lil guy you got a big ass. I said, you're goddamn right. Podcasts where the hosts just laugh at everything they / other hosts / guests say. Nothing is that funny for that long, dude. Wow, you're right. Sometimes a podcast really needs an editor to say, I'm glad you guys are having a good time, but this whole episode was like an in-joke that the audience is not involved in. The Dollop is like this. I enjoy some of their stuff. But when I saw them live, it was maddening how the funny guy would interrupt the other guy every 2.3 seconds with some quip. Let him speak. I'm actually interested in the history he's trying to convey. Not everything needs some sound effect. By the way, what happened to all those good NPR or NPR-like podcasts? It's like instead of the hosts presenting a topic, it's now all the host experiencing the topic with the audience. I mean, on stuff like Planet Money you now hear weekly a host literally say, wait, what? During a segment. It's like all those podcasts changed to that format. Radiolab is another good example of this. They've permanently stopped producing content, but Backstory has about a 10-year archive of content of real historians as hosts interviewing other historians or similar experts. Though it's usually tangentially related to a current event which will be hopelessly out of date, it's the best I've ever heard. So fucking interesting almost every episode. I fucking loved Backstory. And yeah, their archive is immense. And absolutely worth a binge. So many highly intelligent hosts and guests, talking about often obscure history moments. That way the person hosting doesn't have to know anything. But more often than not it's obvious that the host knows the backstory and is just faking the surprise. It's a style choice more than anything. NPR's gotten so much flack for being expressionless and boring that they're trying to push the other way now that there's actual competition in podcasting. In my opinion the meat is still there, though. Man. That's what I love about NPR. I hate over sensationalized news stories. Like seriously, I don't need a 1990s movie trailer style voice about supply chain issues, or whatever. In a world full of supply chain issues. Radiolab was my fave. Was my fave. Now it's tough to listen to since the host change. Look up ideas from the CBC. It's long-form radio documentaries, recordings of public lectures, etc. Very well done. I genuinely enjoy Hey Riddle Riddle, which is probably 90% bit/improv scenes and 10% solving riddles. I tried a podcast about bad movies once. Holy cow, the one guy laughed loud and long about everything. I deleted that shit. This happens so much with movie podcasts, it's crazy. I've had this experience with like 3, so I just gave up on the medium completely. Blank Check with Griffin and David is very good. Entertaining and informative. Trying to make everything Instagram ready. I've fallen in that trap before, deleted everything but Reddit. I'm much happier now living in the moment, watching my kids play instead of taking photos of them, eating my food instead of standing above it trying to take a picture in a crowded restaurant. Once you stop feeding your ego, a lot of worry stops with it. As a fellow Reddit and nothing else internet person, I think you should continue to take as many pictures of your kids as possible. Definitely takes pics of your kids for yourself in them, but don't feel the need to put them on Facebook or Instagram or need them to be oh so perfect looking. Yes. Stop in the middle of Christmas parade and snap some pics of your kids, hug them, then put the phone away and watch them enjoy the Grinch driving the fire truck. I need to do this more. Too often I worry that I'll forget moments with my children. It's nice to have reminders of those moments sometimes. Long ass, boring videos of their friends' kids. When someone asks me about my kid, I just show them one photo quickly and that's it. I know how much I hated when people start scrolling photo albums. There's a girl I work with who I, F29, thought was my age and childless for almost a year. We just chatted like people, then one day she randomly mentioned her son and I learned she is 42, and married, with 2 sons. Work is such a trip like that. I'm friends with 22-year-old new grads but also with grandmothers. So many people don't look like the age you expect them to be, especially if you're usually wearing masks around each other, so it makes things even more confusing. At 29, my best friend at work is 62. We're a riot together. When I was 23, one of my favorite people to hang out with was at least in her late 60s, if not early 70s. She'd get so angry with her new computer, this was the late 90s, and so I was always the one who would help her out. One day she was fuming, and she says, "Do you like to drink?" That's what I do. I go home, I smoke, have a drink, and listen to music. I said, "I like that too." "Good," she said. "You should come over." And I did. She taught me how to make brandy Manhattans. I'd play bartender, she'd play old jazz records and Dean Martin, etc., and we'd talk about our lives, hers being much more interesting to hear about, until we got hungry and made turkey sandwiches. Carol, I miss you. Good times. Virtually all of my friends in my life, since I was 14, have been people who are 15 to 50 years older than I am. They do pass on too soon, but all the memories of those life stories I learned about. Each one is something like the end of the film Titanic when you see the adventures in the life of Rose. My sister thinks that my life/friends are pathetic, but when I see her around all her alcoholic friends, I'm totally convinced that she and they are only pretending to have a good time. Carol sounds awesome. Just think, you might get to be someone else's Carol when you get older, and that'd be awesome too. I met one of my best friends at work in 2008. She's the funniest human I've ever met, with a wit that knows no bounds. I was 27-ish and she was 47-ish. I am the same age as her oldest son and it doesn't matter. We are cut from the same cloth. Long-ass boring videos of anything. Am I the only one who has the decency to just never bother showing anyone any video that's more than 30 seconds long? My cousins do this every single time we all get together. Whatever sporty thing they did, ever since they got GoPros, they just have to force us all to watch at least 20 minutes of video. And then I'm the one who is rude whenever I walk away to do something else. Every time. SMH. Long ass, boring forced video chats with friends' kids. I don't want to Skype with your 5-year-old. I know you're tired of them talking your ear off, but subjecting your friend to it is just plain inconsiderate. Live action remakes. The thing that I specifically don't like is when the live action remake is really a CGI remake, but they won't just acknowledge that it's still animation. You want to remake the hand-drawn animated Lion King movie with a computer-animated Lion King movie? I don't care to watch that, but fine, go ahead. But don't call it live action. What's not to love about a movie that's longer, has less expression, changes the original ending and message, features actors that can't really sing, and only exists to remind you of a better film that came out 25 years earlier? Right? I especially love the over-reliance on CGI that looks bad now and will look even worse as time goes on in an effort to translate 2D character designs into 3D where they look more like sleep paralysis demons than the cute cuddly animals they were originally designed to look like. Also, calling anything with CGI characters live action. Well, with The Jungle Book, the main character was at least a real human. But the same cannot be said for The Lion King. Not one real animal or person in the entire movie, and they call it live action, lol. The worst part is people bought into it, at least for a little bit. I've had people get flippant with me for saying that photorealistic CGI doesn't make it live action. If they put James Earl Jones's geriatric ass in a mocap suit and got him on all fours, that'd be another thing, but they didn't. In my opinion, they really need to stop having James Earl Jones reprise his own roles from decades ago. In Rogue One he sounded like a bad impersonator. Maintaining their jobs as YouTube, TikTok, Instagram personalities. I briefly had mild success with a channel on E 10 years ago and it was nowhere near the level things are now. And I see the production value and the regularity of some of the content. And I just think how much pressure these folks feel to feed the machine or perish. Being a content creator sucks. When you start, it's kind of a passion project, which is great. Ideas are fresh, and inspiration comes naturally. When you get traction and find a formula that clicks, it becomes more about pushing content that generates as much traffic, likes, shares, and subs as possible. When this happens, your original ideas become more and more manufactured and less authentic, which takes the joy out of the creative process, making it feel like a job you hate. Yeah, you see YouTubers starting off doing things they like, then all of a sudden, one of their videos gets a ton of likes and that becomes their niche and about all they do for the next few years. You see it with a lot of Minecraft streamers where they only play the one game for years. One of the creators I like started off playing games for YouTube and then he made a video where he taught how to build a PC that got a lot of likes. Now all of his videos are PC build guides because doing what he loved wasn't getting him good money. There's an interesting TED Talk about this phenomenon, how people's minds, especially children's, are being shaped by algorithms. If a YouTube creator's video gets promoted by the algorithm, they shape their content to match it, which, because it's popular, causes the algorithm to seek out similar content which it promotes, and so on and so forth in a vicious circle. Apparently, it's affecting our development both mentally and socially, and could cause big problems down the line. In entertainment as well as many other areas, our world is already being silently shaped by AI. Edit, for those thinking/replying that this is not different to past supply and demand, I recommend watching the video. The point the speaker makes is that we do not fully understand the algorithm, even its creators cannot exactly control it. And, because it is AI, it can't distinguish between what is and isn't appropriate content for children. As a result, children are being exposed to things they wouldn't otherwise be exposed to. The example the speaker makes is a kid can be watching Disney videos and be taken to a video of Mickey Mouse masturbating. Anyone can make these videos. There is no way to fully regulate that. So, a video could be made by someone responsible, or it could be made by a troll or simply by machine software spewing out content for views. On top of that, with the continuous play option, we are exposed to endless streaming content which affects everyone but especially kids' development. These are the ways in which algorithms are a new societal concept and is shaping people. We are leaving regulation to AI which doesn't currently have the capacity to regulate. 1.4K reply give award share report save follow. I would rephrase that slightly in that our world is being shaped by our use of AI. The AI isn't doing this intentionally, it's just using the data that is fed to it to provide recommendations. It doesn't have the foresight to know what will happen as a result of its own choices, so it knows nothing of the feedback loop it is involved in. At some point, if you have enough of a following, the amount of time you spend making content is very likely more than a full-time job. I imagine that even if it's content you enjoy, you'd get burned out really fast. I think about this all the time for streamers that play a specific game. I cannot think of a world more hellish than being a successful professional League or Hearthstone streamer and being forced to play every day for 8 to 10 hours. Some of these people are going on past a decade of just playing the same game every day all day. I love playing video games, but playing them 24/7 while having to constantly talk and try and be funny and interesting sounds like a nightmare. It takes away everything that's enjoyable, to me, about gaming. That's why those jokes like job, masturbating and playing video games all day, $5,000 an hour don't make any sense. As soon as something becomes a job, it means something completely different. Loving your job is not the same thing as being forced to do your hobbies. A piece of advice my grandpa gave to me that I probably rolled my eyes at the time: don't turn your hobby into a job if you want to keep the hobby. It happened to one of the streamers I used to watch. His name is Foe and he streams old school RuneScape. For a little while, when World of Warcraft Classic first released, he started playing and streaming that, and it seemed like he was having a great time with it. One of my friends did some dungeons with him and it sounded like both of them had a great time. A lot of his viewers only watched him for his RuneScape stuff though, and he eventually had to fall back into that. I'm not sure if he felt like he had to or if he had his fill of WoW and just came back to RuneScape naturally, but I imagine that it was more of the former. I used to have a decently sized following online for my art. Not super popular, but popular enough to start getting tagged and do a couple of collabs with actual big artists. Maybe if I kept it up I could have turned art into a full-time job. Shit, I've always wanted to draw comics and do animation for a living, but I got massively burnt out less than a year after my page started gaining traction. It was a constant battle to focus on what was giving me the most views/likes instead of actually practicing and improving in my weaker areas, and I was always working on something in my free time so I would have something to post. I was always trying to outdo myself too, so if one post didn't get a ton of attention I'd get really hung up on it. I deleted my page in 2018 and I want to say that was the best decision I ever made, but to this day I still haven't been able to complete a single drawing. I've ironically grown to just hate all my art because I'm so hyper aware of all the flaws in it now. For some reason my dumbass is still considering making a new art page once I can start completing drawings again. The same exact thing happened with me. 20k followers on Instagram and increasing by the day. My art account turned into my job. I stopped enjoying drawing and just did it for the likes and shares and comments. It was such a high when a post would take off, but if there was a dry spell I'd think I wasn't good enough and would feel like shit. After posting, my heart rate would shoot up and I'd watch my notifications obsessively for hours. My self-worth was up and down constantly. Abandoned the account in 2020 and I've never looked back. One of the best things I've ever done for my stress. I don't draw as much as I used to due to the mindset I got myself in, but I'm actually starting to enjoy drawing and painting for fun again, and I like trying to improve for myself, not just so that people like me more. You just explained the feeling way better than I could. I especially remember constantly checking my phone for notifications after I posted something the first hour or so. I would have a ton of anxiety waiting for things to ramp up. And if something didn't do well, I'd just be thinking I thought this was good, where did I go wrong? There was definitely a lot of imposter syndrome going on there. I was terrified of just being a one-hit wonder. Very sorry to hear that you got so burnt out on something you clearly love so much. Good luck finding your fun again. It seems like you have a good perspective on what wasn't working before. That can be a great tool in making sure you do what works for you going forward. I went years like that where I didn't do a finished drawing. Just the occasion sketch. I should say, personal work. I did do some for clients or family. Maybe trying to get a commission might help get the wheels going. Another thing that maybe helped me was I tried a different medium. Being famous as a whole really. Sure, money is very good and having fans love you is good and all, but I'm convinced that they miss their privacy. Much rather be rich than famous. Absolutely seems this way. I do see a lot of channels that have grown in popularity hiring editors and assistants to help them along. Imagine making so much content that you have to pay people to help get it out on schedule. And the creators I follow that don't have teams to do all the behind the scenes work tend to end up falling into depression. One YouTuber I followed since he had 20k subscribers. His channel completely blew up after a while. He tried making it a full-time job, got severely depressed, and it really shows in his recent videos now. Where he used to have funny commentary videos with snappy editing, think similar to Degenerosity, these days it seems he just sorta rambles to the camera. His booming subscriber count tapered off right before he hit 500k subs, and his stuff barely gets views anymore. It's really sad to see someone get burnt out in real time and be powerless to help them. Maybe I'm just being naive, but some of them seem to just overdo it. I think making less content with slightly higher quality could benefit them a lot more, both in growth and their own health. If you liked the video, Hit that subscribe button for more content. I post every day and I'll see you next time with more stories.